So you need to budget, and maybe you're just one person living alone, or maybe you have a partner, but whichever it is, you're ready for a bit of a rethink about your budgeting. I got you. Let's talk budget. Welcome, I'm Amy, and here at Frugal Over 50, I give you tips and tools for frugal living. Y para mis amigas de habla hispana, bienvenido. Hablemos hoy de nuestros presupuestos. Number 1. To have a successful budget, you don't need any particular software or any particular system. You just need something quite simple. Now, you folks know that I often talk about you need a budget, and if you like software, you're welcome to click below, 34 days free. A lot of people love it. But many of you have been asking me for something much more straightforward, and it's absolutely true that you don't need software to budget. For most of human history, for most of money history, there hasn't been any software. So it's certainly possible, and for many of us, it's desirable. We want a simple budget. Maybe you're living alone, maybe it's just you and one other person. You don't need to have a lot of detailed discussions or fiddle around with too many categories. So I want to give credit where credit is due. Senator Elizabeth Warren, along with her daughter, wrote a book about family finances. And in this book, she popularized the 50-30-20 method. 50-30-20 means this. You look at your paycheck. After taxes have been taken out, you want to count on 50% of what's left going towards things that you need, 30% of what's left going toward things that you want, and 20% of what's left going toward paying down debt and saving for retirement. It is such a simple concept. Let's talk about each one of these individually. First of all, 50%. This is not 50% of your gross income. This is 50% of your after-tax income. So if you work a job where you get a paycheck and they take taxes out before you get your paycheck, you work with your entire paycheck. If you're self-employed and you're prepaying taxes quarterly throughout the year, you're working with the amount that's left after you have prepaid your taxes. 50% of that goes to your needs. Needs are things that will keep you alive from today until tomorrow, and all of the things that you have to have and do in order to make that happen the next day, and the next day, and the next day. So, the World Health Organization has identified food and water, clothing, and shelter as the basic human needs. If you have those met, you can live to see another day. So make sure you count food, water, clothing, and shelter in that 50% category. And then think about what do you have to have in order to provide for those things. Here's an example from my life. I work entirely online. I need a computer. If I do not have a computer, there is no money coming into my house, and I will not have a house. I won't have clothing. I won't have food. I won't have water. So for me, a computer is an expense that I need. And so I need to count on certain expenses in my life in order to maintain my life. In many parts of the world, you don't have to include things like health insurance premiums, but if you live in the United States, you definitely want to include health insurance premiums in your needs. Think about what your basic needs are that need to be 50% of your after-tax income. If you add all of those up and they come out to more than 50%, it could be that you're living in a high cost of living area, and it could be time to start thinking about downsizing or moving or reducing expenses in other areas so that you can get closer to that 50% mark. Next, 30% for wants. This is where I think Senator Warren's plan is absolute genius. She does not ask us as frugal people, as budgeting people, whether we live alone or with a partner or with a family, she doesn't ask us to give up things that we want. Instead, she says, take your money and plan 30% of it to go to things that you want. Things that are not absolutely necessary for the sustenance of life today, or for planning for the sustenance of life tomorrow or next year, but things that you really would like to have. This is where things like travel might come into play, or buying an extra nice pair of shoes that's going to last a really long time, or a better quality of steak for a fancy dinner. If you live on your own, it might be that your wants money helps to pay for rent in a solo apartment so you don't have to have roommates. It might be that your wants money goes towards that electric vehicle you've been wanting. In other words, this is not a bare bones budget that takes all joy out of life and asks us to give up everything that we love. Instead, it asks us to plan a significant chunk of our money for things that we actually want. And last but not least, the 20% that goes for debt pay down and also saving for retirement. It could be that you already have some pre-tax money going toward retirement through your paycheck or through some other plan that you've already set up. Can you save more? It could be that you're already paying down debt in that 50% of needs because you have to pay down debt in order for the bank not to come and take away your house, for instance. But can you pay down more debt? And it's interesting to me that Senator Warren agrees with so many financial planners that paying down debt is the same thing as saving money. And she's asking us to do both at the same time. I love the security that this provides. We're taking care of our needs, we're taking care of our wants, and we're paying for past self who needed our help today, and we're paying for our future self who's going to need help later. So not only do you not need software, you can use this simple 3-part method to establish your budget and to run it. But also, you could alter this so that it meets your needs, thinking, what is your 50%? What is your 30%? What is your 20%? Or do you want to take that idea of percentages and alter it just a bit so that maybe you have 4 categories instead of 3? Or maybe you put more into the needs and less into the wants? Or maybe you put less into the needs and wants and more into saving. So if you're intrigued by this idea of a really simple percentage-based budgeting plan, but that 50, 30, 20 that Elizabeth Warren described just isn't going to work for you, don't throw it out. Instead, think, what would my percentages be and what would my categories be? And make it simple. Keep it to 3 categories or at most 4. You can just do this on a piece of notebook paper. You don't need any fancy software and it is wonderfully functional. This is also extraordinarily functional for people who are working alone on their budget and don't have anybody to bounce ideas off of. You can just look at what is my life right now and what is my 50%, what is my 30%, what is my 20%, and you can decide which aspects of your financial life go into each of those 3 buckets. If you have a partner, and particularly if you have a partner whose idea about money is different from yours, this can be very useful because it's so simple and straightforward. You can just sit down and have a quick conversation. What do we consider needs? What do we consider wants? What are we saving for and what are we paying down debt? And I have a bonus for you for those who are like, I think a piece of paper is too much. Get the book, The Index Card, because it talks about how you can run your entire financial life from one index card. And in fact, you may not even need the entire book. You may just need to go get a copy of the list of things that you're going to put on your index card. And if you run your financial life according to one index card, you can find success. The point here is not to reduce our financial lives down too far, but instead to distill the essence of what we actually need to do in order to live successfully, to live frugally, and to live in a financially responsible way that brings us freedom and possibility and joy and hope for our future. If you're looking for more information on budgeting, I've got a budgeting series for you. I'm going to link it up above and down below. And also, I want to encourage you to ask any specific questions that you have in the comments. We are such a helpful community. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a like. It helps YouTube find other people who want to join us. And subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Wherever you are on your frugal living journey, take the next step, whatever that next step is for you. And know that you are not alone, and I am so proud of you. Live frugally, change your life, and together we will change the world. I can't wait to see you soon. Nos vemos pronto. Bye!